Hello and welcome to Shnayim Mikra. I'm your host, Rabbi Betzalel Edwards. We're doing Revi'i today for Wednesday. Parshat Shmini, chapter 10 of the book Leviticus, verse 12. It goes a little bit like this. Vaydaber Moshe el Aharon ve'el Elazar ve'el Itamar banav hanotarim kuchu et hamincha hanoteret meishe Adonai ve'ichlu hamatzot etzel hamizbeach ki kodesh kodeshim hi. Vaydaber Moshe el Aharon ve'el Elazar ve'el Itamar banav hanotarim kuchu et hamincha hanoteret meishe Adonai ve'ichlu hamatzot etzel hamizbeach ki kodesh kodeshim hi. Rashi says the verse translates, first of all, and Moses spoke to Aaron and to Elazar and to Itamar, his sons. The remainder of the sacrifices, take from the remainder of the sacrifices a grain offering, that which is left over from the fires of God, and eat it. Make matzah from it and eat it by the altar, because it is the holy of holies. The Rashi says the remainder from the dead, meaning the sacrifices that of Nadav and Avihu that they had brought inside. The sacrifices that the dead had brought. It comes to teach us that even Nadav and Avihu had been punished. Fined is the word he uses. They received a fine. The fine they received was death. For what sin? For the sin of the golden calf. This is as it is said that God was wroth with Aaron and destroyed him. It says in the book of, he was so wroth with Aaron that he destroyed him. So did God destroy Aaron? No, Aaron eventually died. He didn't. But what was the destruction of Aaron? The verse in book of Deuteronomy chapter 9 is referring to how Aaron lost his sons. That was tantamount to destroying him. As it is written, when losing one's sons, the death of children is tantamount to destroying the person. It's unusually tragic and painful. It's like it says in the book of Amos. The book of Amos, chapter 2. It's right next to the book of Andy. Okay, that wasn't funny, so forget I ever said it. So the book of Amos, the prophet Amos, chapter 2 says, "And I will destroy his fruit from above." His fruit is a person's progeny, his children. However, only 2 of Aaron's sons were killed in cold blood by the ruthless God, who is the master of mercy. It's hard to conceive of God as the master of mercy when there's so much suffering in the world, I know. So sometimes we don't want a God that reminds us of Dirty Harry. However, it separates the men from the boys. The boys will be verdrumbled, verquetscht. Sorry, I forgot. You don't speak Yiddish. Maybe some of you do. Will be all bent out of shape by confronting the why the Master of Mercy allows so much evil to happen in the world, and the boys will give up and the men will stay believing. So live with it. So it said Moses. So he had 4 sons. So he didn't totally destroy them, and that's as it said in the 9th chapter of the book of Deuteronomy. And I prayed for Aaron at this time. Moses prayed, and the tzaddik managed to nullify the decree partially. The verse says, "Kuchu et mincha," take the grain offering, even though you are mourners, and mourners aren't supposed to offer sacrifices. And so the holy sacrifices, there's sacrifices of a greater sanctity and the sacrifices of lesser sanctity. So the sacrifices of a greater sanctity are forbidden from an onen. An onen is somebody who, between the time a person loses a close relative and before the burial, it's forbidden to eat sacrifices of the holier variety, such as the one discussed in the verse. So the grain offering, the mincha, this is the special mincha grain offering of the 8th day of the inauguration of the tabernacle, and the mincha of Nachshon, of the tribe, Nachshon of the tribe of Shimon, if I'm not mistaken, was the prince of the tribe of Shimon offered a special sacrifice on the 8th day. It says they should be eaten as matzahs. Why does the Torah say matzahs? It's because, what is the Torah telling us when it says eat matzahs? Eat these grain offerings as matzah, unleavened bread. Because the grain offering of the community and the grain offering, the temporary offerings of the inauguration, which is a one-time event, and not for later generations, they had to follow the law of all of the other grain offerings, and the other grain offerings, except on Shavuos, were made into the normal grain offering was a matzah, unleavened. So Lubavitcher Rebbe says, quoting Rashi on verse 12 that I just read. So the Lubavitcher Rebbe explains. He says that his father-in-law, the previous Rebbe, the Rebbe Yosef Yitzchak Schneerson, blessed memory, said, in the name of Rabbi Salanter, that Rabbi Salanter, I guess he's referring to the great Musa Rebbe, whichever Salanter he's referring to. Rabbi Salanter asked the 4th Lubavitcher Rebbe, why do you Hasidim pray for so long? And the 4th Lubavitcher Rebbe, Moreno Shmuel, answered him, it's known that there's a known disagreement in the Talmud, a famous dispute in the Talmud, whether prayer does half or all. I'm not familiar with this dispute. Somebody could, in the comments, please give me the source. I'd love to see it, and where in the Talmud it talks about what it means when the prayer completes half of something or all of something. Just off the top of my head, does half the job or does the whole job? I don't know. Fulfills half of our obligation and God does the rest? Or does everything and it's not about God at all? I don't know. Please, friends, Romans, countrymen, Jews, countrymen, give me a fighting chance and give me the source. This is the quiz question. What is Lubavitcher Rebbe talking about? Whether prayer does mechze or kula. So that's a famous. So that's what the Moharash, Moreno Harav Shmuel of Lubavitch, the 4th Lubavitcher Rebbe, said back to Rabbi Salanter. So he continued and he said back to Rabbi Salanter, he said to him, therefore we pray a lot because Maybe if it only does half, we want to do the whole thing. So that way, if the best we could do is a half, we want to make sure that half goes all the way. So we pray longer. So it's not a half-hearted half. It's a full-hearted half. At least if it's going to be half, it might as well be full-hearted. That's basically what he answered back to Rabbi Salanter. The Rebbe said you can explain it this way. By means of praying for, putting a lot of long effort and putting our full heart into the prayer, praying for a whole hour or 2 hour shachrit instead of the half-hour shachrit that most people pray. By means of praying at length, one can reach a higher level. And we reach the feet of the higher level. And if you reach the feet of the higher level, it's as if you had reached all of the higher level. Because touching a part is like touching the whole. Verse 13. ואכלתם אותה במקום קדוש כי חוקך וחוק בניך כי מאישי אדוני כי כן צוויתי ואכלתם אותם במקום קדוש כי חוקך וחוק בניך כי again ואכלתם אותה במקום קדוש כי חוקך וחוק בניך היא מאישי אדוני כי כן צוויתי again ואכלתם אותם במקום קדוש כי חוקך וחוק בניך היא מאישי אדוני כי כן צוויתי and you shall eat it in a holy place because it is a statute for your children from the fires of God because that's how God commanded it. Rashi says, what does it mean, a statute, a law for your children? That the children don't have the law of the holy sacrifices. And then the Rashi continues and says, and that's how I commanded it, that it should be eaten even in a state. Why did the verse went out of its way to say I'd command? That's why because that's how I commanded it. He doesn't. That's an unusual phrase in the Bible. Because that's how I commanded it. Because that's what I said. So why did God say because that's what I said? I'll tell you why he said that. Rashi says because Moses said, "Hey, wait a second. We're mourners. Aaron's a mourner, and he's supposed to eat from the sacrifices." So God went out of his way to say, no, this is a special event. You're going to eat. The inauguration of the temple trumps your mourning period and the laws pertaining to thereof. ואת חזה התנופה ואת שוק התרומה תאכלו במקום טהור אתה ובניך ובנותיך איתך כי חוקך וחוק בניך ניתנו מזבחי שלמי בני ישראל ואת חזה התנופה ואת שוק התרומה תאכלו במקום טהור אתה ובניך ובנותיך איתך כי חוקך וחוק בניך ניתנו מזבחי שלמי בני ישראל because the breast of waving, of the wave offering, and the thigh of the offering, you shall eat in a pure place, you and your sons and your daughters with you, together with you, because that's a law. It's an inexplicable law, and an inexplicable law for your children. It was given that to give you from the sacrifices of the peace offerings of the children of Israel. So Rashi says that the wave, the breast of the animal that's waved from the peace offerings of the community, it shall be eaten in a holy place. Rashi says because the first ones ate. So does that mean that the first ones ate it in an impure place? Did the verse go out of its way to say you eat it in a pure place because the early ones were eaten in an impure place? Rather, it comes to say that the first ones which were the Holy of Holies, the first offerings were Holy of Holies, they needed to be eaten in a holy place. But these, they don't have to be eaten in the tabernacle. They don't have to be eaten in the tabernacle. But they do need to be eaten in the encampment of the Jewish people. They cannot be eaten outside of the encampment in the desert. Because the whole encampment of the Jewish people was a pure place. They wouldn't even go to the bathroom inside. They'd go outside of the encampment to take care of their needs. And somebody, if it was a leper, the lepers had to go outside of the encampment of the Jewish people in the desert. So from here we learn, Rashi says, here we learn that the sacrifices of a lesser holiness were eaten in the whole city, meaning within the walls of Jerusalem. You could make a mangal on the roofs, in the streets, in people's houses. That's the place where you bring the animal, you bring the sheep to the temple, the sheep is slaughtered, the choicest pieces are given to the Kohen, and then you take your sheep and you could go eat it there and have a mangal there at your friend's house in the Jewish quarter, or your Muslim friend's house. I guess back then, truth is, according to the Rambam, Muslims are not supposed to live in Jerusalem. They're not supposed to sleep. Any non-Jew is forbidden from sleeping over in Jerusalem, according to Jewish law, actually. That Jewish law is not in effect today. Maybe someday it will be. Come, visit, enjoy. Stay in a hotel outside of Jerusalem and come back tomorrow. Because it's a holy city of the Jews. We might as well treat it that way. So it says, you eat it, you and your children shall eat it. Rashi says, you and your children can eat a part of it, but your daughters, not bechelik. A certain part of it was eaten only by the sons, and a certain part was not eaten by the daughters, that same part. But if they're given gifts, if it was given as a gift to the family of the Kohen, then the daughters could eat from the chazeh and the shuk, from the breast and from the thigh, the choicest parts of the animal. So could it be that maybe the daughters would also have from the choicest parts? The Talmud says, the verse in the Torah says, because it's a law for you and for your sons. It's for the sons, it's not for the daughters. Now, you feminists out there are going to get all hot under the collar about this, but that's the way it was. Okay. So the special sacrifices were only for the sons, but the gifts to the Kohen were for the whole family. Shoka truma v'chazei tnufa al yishe hachalavim yaviu lahanif tnufa lifnei Adonai v'haya lecha ulevanecha itcha lechok olam kasher tziva Adonai. Shoka truma v'chazei tnufa al yishe hachalavim yaviu lahanif tnufa lifnei Adonai v'haya lecha ulevanecha itcha L'chok olam kasher tziva Adonai. Rashi says that the thigh of the translates it. The verse translates the thigh of the offering and the breast of the offering, of the wave offering. The thigh and the breast of the wave offering from the sacrifices of the fats. They shall be brought to wave them before God. And it shall be for you and your sons with you as an eternal law, just as God commanded it. Rashi says that the thigh of the wave offering and the breast of the wave offering, that the language is a special language of Asher Hunaf v'Asher Huram, that the waved and raised. So what is raised and what is waved? So waved means brought out and brought in. Just like the lulav, when we shake the lulav, we do it out and in. out and in. So out and in, out and in. That's how the sacrifice was waved. What about raised? Raised is up and down, up and down. So I guess the way, according to Rashi, the wave offering was like this, and the when it says truma to be the elevated offering had to do like this to it, up and down. So you got some exercise there in the temple to work off all that fat. Okay. So why, Rashi asks the following question: Why did the verse differentiate between the elevated offering of the thigh and the elevated offering of the breast? We don't know. Didn't we not already know that both of them are raised and waved? Oh, we didn't know that both of them are raised and waved, so it had to say both. So when the verse said, Rashi comments on the verse that the fires, the sacrifices of the fats, so from here we learn that the fats below the fats were placed below the breast or the thigh when it was raised. So you had the fats, and above it you had the cut of the breasts and the cut of the thigh and the thigh bone, the thigh meat. And so this resolves the verses so they don't contradict each other. And I already explained this in Parshat Tzav. Ve'et se'ir hachatat darash Moshe v'hine soraf vayiksof al Elazar v'al Itamar b'nei Aaron hanotarim lemor. So that's the exact midpoint of the Torah, and we're going to end today here. That's the fourth Aliya in Parshat Shmini.